So you may have heard of Steven Spielberg's big remake of West Side Story, the massive stage musical from 1957 that was turned into the massive movie musical in 1961. I am completely unfamiliar with the original stage version, but I did enjoy the film very much when I saw it for the first time about 3 years ago. The remake is getting a lot of positive buzz. When I was looking at comments online, I saw that people are really excited about it. And while I don't have a real issue with it being made, I don't really get the hype. Everything about this production feels uninspired. Now, I am not inherently against the concept of remakes, but artistically speaking, I feel like they do need to justify their existence in some way. Every remake needs to answer the question, why am I watching you instead of the original? The answers can be quite varied. You can change the location of the film, like in The Departed, taking the Hong Kong set Infernal Affairs and placing it in Boston, trading out the Chinese triad for the Irish Mafia. You can also remake an older movie in a modern setting, like A Star is Born, and A Star is Born, and A Star is Born. You can also remake a movie by changing some aspect of its protagonist, like the upcoming Superman film, which, it was recently announced, will for the first time be starring a black man in the lead role. All of these changes create new avenues for creative exploration and give the audience, who may already be familiar with the story, a reason to come see the film once more. West Side Story doesn't effectively answer this question, not in the teaser trailer at least. Like the original, it's still set in New York. It's still taking place in the 50s. There are no fundamental changes to the story, so what's the point? Defenders of the film might say that there is a long tradition of plays and musicals being remade over and over again. But that's merely a difference between the stage and screen. If I want to see West Side Story on stage, it's not like we're going to dig up the original Broadway cast, you know? It has to be acted by new actors, directed by a different director. But I don't even think those are called remakes, right? I think they're revivals. A film, ideally, is forever. If I want to see the 1961 film, I can watch it whenever I want. No need for a remake. The only good thing that this film has going for it is that it'll be highlighting a lot of young, up-and-coming actors of color, like Rachel Zegler, who plays Maria, and Ariana DeBose, who plays Anita. The 1961 film's biggest failing is the lack of Latino representation for a movie that is ostensibly about the Latino, or more specifically, Puerto Rican experience. Rita Moreno, who played Anita in the original and was like the only actual Puerto Rican in the film, said about the remake that Spielberg and writer Tony Kushner really wanted to right some wrongs with this film. But with all due respect, they aren't righting shit. The original film still exists. Its legacy of marginalizing and exoticizing a minority group for the pleasure of the mostly white American audience will last forever. And frankly, the 2021 film doesn't seem all that different. The original Broadway production was written by a white man, with music by a white man, and lyrics by a white man, and based on a play by a white man. The 1961 film was written and directed completely by white men. The 2021 version, while yes, has a lot of actors of color, and that's great, that's correct, that's what it should be. But behind the camera, white as fucking snow. I'm not saying that white people aren't allowed to make movies about non-white people, but I am saying that I'm not confident that Steven Spielberg is the man for the job. Yes, he did The Color Purple. Yes, he did Amistad. That's 2 out of, 30? And this all stands in stark contrast to the other big-budget musical adaptation about the Latino experience in New York City, In the Heights, a film that is actually based on a musical created by a Puerto Rican born in New York City, telling an authentic story fueled by his own lived experience. I mean, if it's one or the other, go see that. In a recent interview in Variety, Spielberg talked about how much West Side Story meant to him as a kid, and how he's apparently always wanted to make this film. But that idea just seems so weird to me. It's like, imagine I'm an author. I write books, and I say, it's always been my dream to write The Great Gatsby. What does that even mean? Fuck F. Scott, I'm just gonna rewrite his words, but in a slightly different way? Why would anyone want to read that? That's how I feel about West Side Story. I want to make it clear, I don't have a real problem with West Side Story being remade. It just seems indulgent, pointless, soulless, like a lot of Spielberg's work in the last couple of decades. Well, let's be real, I'm going to see it. And if I'm wrong, if the movie really blows my socks off with originality and creativity heretofore unseen, I'll be the first to sing its praises.